where if Andre puts on the glasses, all of a sudden he's Steve Urkel, but when he takes it off, he becomes this suave Stefan from Family Matters. So I'm very happy to have the regular Andre back. Actually, you know what was really cool? Stefan was like Urkel, that was really cool, but he also was still really intelligent.
Did you know
that's the same with you,
they're both
Andre.
the same people? That was like the first Urkel.
Wait, really? Jamal White was both Urkel and Stefan?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and then they had to get like a, because he went through puberty, obviously, and then he became that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And he finally got the girl. What was her name again?
Really cool. Oh, I do not remember.
I don't either.
It was the 90s, man. If you guys are watching and you remember the 90s,
it was Laura.
It was a long time ago. It was Laura. Thank you, Kylie, for reminding us. Kylie, of course, our production girl.
Day and age
switching
to read on the news.
Speaking of since the 90s, this guy has been playing StarCraft Brood War since the 90s. If you go ahead and look at the bottom right, it is Incontrol from Team Evil Geniuses. Jeff Robinson, of course, has been training hard in the EG lair. Of course, you can follow his stream at twitch.tv/IncontrolTV.
Top right-hand corner, of course, is Drewbie, who has also been playing StarCraft Brood War since the 90s.
Since the 90s? Yeah, these guys are like the veterans of the scene.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's actually kind of hard to imagine, you know, like them back 14 years ago, pretty much, right?
That's oh my gosh, yes.
It's been a very long time.
That's how long we've been playing competitive video gaming, man.
Yeah, 14 years. That's as long as some pro athletic careers, you know? Like some people retire after 12 to 15 years. So the fact that these guys are training really hard, you definitely have to commend them.
That's older than that Chinese Olympic gymnast.
Just barely. Well, actually, they can't even prove his actual age because he has no birth certificate, right?
She was like, what did you do? They actually asked her,
man,
what did you do on your 14th birthday?
She's like, well, that's going to be next year, so I mean, I mean, it was great. Of course, no, it's in all due respect, it's really cool to see people start playing from even such a young age. Sports are starting to recognize just training young people, and esports as well. Yeah. These guys have been training since 13, 14 years old.
Which is just a staggering age for anything competitively. Anyway, Incontrol will go ahead and lose his probe, but he basically gets everything that he wants to see.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much sees what Drewbie's playing macro, and Drewbie is really a macro player at this stage of his career. I mean, and most strategies have been figured out, especially on a map like Entomb Valley. But what throws an interesting wrench into things is the spawn positions, Andre. We have to kind of mention it, especially by how close it is. Even with that side hidden alley towards the right, that kind of backward C, if you will, it provides like such a close way to harass for both players. I wonder how both players will exploit that.
There exists a lot of problems going to the mid-game stage where you don't know really where to push, because a lot of times, well, do you go cross-map just to attack the 4th base, or, as you said, do you use that backward C or, you know, the regular C to actually push across? And that's something that's actually pretty important, because a lot of battles are actually going to happen right over here and right over here. I think the majority of them should happen over there. And it really shows you a defender's advantage, because obviously defenders can go ahead and spread out their units very, very nicely. That's why even though they're in close positions, I think we normally have a lot of long macro games from here. But Drewbie already starting out saying, I don't really like these positions. I'm going to go ahead and go for a 4 racks just to start off. This has to do a lot of damage, else he's just invested way too much into it.
It does. I mean, the 4 racks also, like you've been telling me so many times, Andre, makes you also safe against any like the real early pressures that tries to bust your bunkers early on. It just gives you a lot of security, especially if it's one base, but that's not the case at all from Incontrol. Although he is adding 4 more gates on.
Ooh,
he also could add on maybe potentially a 5th gate to make it total 6, but instead stops at 5, and 5 is kind of an unusual number, Andre. What do you think about this?
Yeah, this might be just completely Stalker Zealot. Actually, I'm positive of it, because assimilator count is only 1. He might have just 1 sentry. No, he doesn't even have a single sentry, so he will be doing some sort of gateway pressure. This is okay on Entomb Valley. Actually, you could put a pylon over here and then warp into this side over there. Combat X used to do that against me on ladder. He died, though. And
in the game.
Yeah, in the game.
Okay.
I killed him.
Oh, man. It's like, wow.
No, that's morbid, bro. Yeah. But Drewbie, look at this. I love Incontrol's positioning. Having a Stalker on that high ground, he should go ahead and evacuate all of his sentries. Needs to make sure he keeps them alive. But realistically, Drewbie is going to lose a ton right here. I mean, all of these Marines should die.
Yeah, at the same time, Drewbie's going to target that one sentry, or sorry, that one unit, but doesn't manage to really get it. Wow. He's going to lose all of his Marines as well. The one Stalker gets alive. Great micro. Ooh. Well, he actually, it was great micro initially, but actually lost that Stalker. But in the end, he still traded very efficiently, managed to keep his sentries alive. And Drewbie committed a lot of his early defenses, actually, to be able to sacrifice for that poke. And now, as a result, I'm pretty sure Incontrol should be able to completely bust him.
I think Drewbie's actually, never mind. I think Drewbie's okay. No, I think he is. The SEV count is just way too high, and he's going to be able to do a lot of stuff here. Guardian Shield has not been able to activate for quite a long time. The Stalker count is way too low. These should have all been Stalkers. Or at least he should have gotten as many Stalkers as possible, because Stalkers are the ones that are actually going to do the damage. Zealots are the ones that tank the damage. What you want to do in that position is actually take off as many SCVs as possible. You're not actually trying to get some sort of, you know, huge win right there.
Yeah, no, this is really cool and clever from Incontrol. He's actually expanding to a third base, but threatening to constantly bust. So not only does Drewbie have to keep STVs off, but he forced more bunkers, and he's forcing a strong reaction, when in reality, Incontrol is pretty much just playing to have an even stronger mid to late game. And at this point, the only thing that's kind of been hurting Incontrol a little bit is his gas count. Hasn't really had a lot of it to tech, and whatever he's gotten, he's invested directly back into the units. So Drewbie will have Stim already on the way, but at the same time, it's not like Incontrol has a lot of stuff going on back at home.
I have to question this Forge right now. I think actually a robotics facility is a lot better in this position. I understand that he's very strapped for cash, but in this position, when you know you've taken out a ton of Marines, and you kind of know that that Marine count at that stage is a little bit high, you see how many Marines were left over inside your opponent's base, and not only that, you know you killed a ton of Marines, that should actually trigger, it was like 4, 5, or 6 4, 5, or 6 barracks in that beginning siege. When you know that, you need to focus on getting AoE. Going gateway units to barracks units is not always the best way, especially if they incorporate ghosts, which are not up on the field just yet. There it is. The Ghost Academy is coming up right now. But you want that AoE to deal with everything, and sentries, relying on them is pretty risky. You can get build order countered, and especially when Drewbie has to choose kind of like, do I go all in with my units on ground, or do I go all in with some sort of economy? That's normally one of the two that they choose after they lose so much in the beginning stage.
Yeah, Andre, I completely agree. It's just it's a little bit tricky in that regards of, will I actually be able to defend with just sentries? And that's always never a guarantee.
Yeah.
But you can see that Drewbie at this point is pretty much been focused solely on getting a huge mass of units. In fact, he's on 5 barracks before even starting a 3rd command center. And I think yeah, Incontrol is onto what he's up to, because he saw an incredible amount of units, and you can see Drewbie, he's salvaging all the bunkers at the front top of his ramp. So an imminent push, especially with all these upgrades going to finish, and the first ghost going to pop out. This is it's going to be up to Incontrol to really make a play. But if this doesn't work from Drewbie, Incontrol will be at a incredible lead.
Yes. That's exactly right. I mean, Drewbie is completely all in this position. He's not looking forward. He's not looking to really get anything out of this. I think even this factory, this is like, hopefully this does a ton of damage so I can actually play it into that end game stage. But realistically, this is it. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually included SCVs with that. That would be absolutely fantastic as well. Whoa, command center goes down. Okay, so I'll talk about that in a little bit after the action, it looks like, is going to start. Ghosts are going to be added into this army composition. That makes things very scary. All of these entries are super clumped up, and there is no observer over here to actually check everything. Oh my goodness. There could be a lot of problems coming out from Incontrol pretty soon right now.
And he senses the ghost and he splits it, but he does get force fields off. A lot of Marines are trapped with a huge stim. The Zealots can't all get in there, but Incontrol is also trying to continue to force field to push the units back from being able to add DPS. A massive warp-in from Incontrol, trying to see if it can reinforce the army and hold off the mass of Terran units, but with no medevacs, his Terran units are fighting against themselves with stim. And in the end, Incontrol looks like he's going to barely hold as long as he just gets another warp and has to pull a couple of probes. But in the end, with 3 next side compared to 2 command centers and 1 that's still in the middle of building, Incontrol is sitting very nicely, I feel.
Oh yes, Incontrol loved that engagement, and from here I think he's monstrously ahead. Now, one big thing, Drewbie didn't actually keep rallying, and think if he did keep rallying all of his units, he would have been in fantastic shape. Now, why didn't he rally? Because he put all of the reinforcement money into this command center and things like this starport. I think he could have won it right there if he was able to just commit to it completely. Unfortunately for Drewbie, he didn't, and he misses a golden opportunity. Now Incontrol is going to swing this around. It looks like Archons are out on the field. Charge is not yet finished. Yes, it is. Excuse me. So Charge is finished. This is a powerful army to go up against Drewbie.
Yes, and with that knowledge, he can also just pretty much take out the Ghost and snipe them with his units at this point. And it doesn't really even matter at this point. He has so many units. I'm talking about Drewbie, of course. Yes. Drewbie has just so many units on top of the ramp that Incontrol can't really break him. So at this point, I guess Incontrol is going to fall back, but he does know that third base was going up, but he does have that macro time advantage, especially with the worker counts at this point. He can pump out 3 probes compared to 2, but Drewbie's actually done a good job keeping up his worker count as well. I'm actually really surprised by that.
Yeah, he actually has an advantage, if you can see in the minerals mining tab, of course, because those mules help out so much. But at this point, I kind of feel like Incontrol just threw away his advantage. I really feel like he's being aggressive when he doesn't need to be, and he's playing passive when he doesn't need to be. I mean, that beginning stage was just so advantageous for him. Taking the third, I don't mind it at all. But look at this. Like, there's not a great follow-up. High Templars are okay, but when you're against all barracks units and the medevac count is actually delayed, well, now it's like the Terran has the advantage just because they have access to the Ghost. All the gas is going towards Ghost instead of that heavy medevac count, which is standard from the normal starport openings. I really feel like Incontrol is just going to the strengths of Terran. Normally it's when they have Ghost, you have Colossus. When they have Vikings, you have High Templars. That's the kind of the mantra of PvT.
I do think that Incontrol is doing all right, though. Now he has double Robo, and as soon as those 2 Colossus come out, it's going to be... I mean, Drewbie can't really touch him at all. You can see that another run-by attempt at the third from Drewbie, going to snipe a lot of these SCVs, but of course, Drewbie is protecting them. But now that Drewbie discovered that forward pylon, he can rest a little bit easier. But you can see that Incontrol also has to worry about this Doom drop that's going to the bottom center of the map, Andre. And Drewbie, if he lands on the double Robo, he's going to be able to snipe so much of this important tech. This represents at least 3 minutes of Protoss' time.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness, this can be so much damage.
And in this stage in time, I mean, Drewbie should actually have a couple units out in the field just to try to bait units, maybe even towards that natural, because look at this. Forges are directly up in front now. The 2 upgrades have finished. I believe that was 2-2. Yes, it was. 2-2 has finished for Incontrol, so he's looking really good. His opponent is just about to get the +2 weapons upgrade, and that obviously gives Protoss such a substantial advantage. Also, I don't think Drewbie has actually scouted that the Colossus are out in the field. If you look in the units tab, how many Vikings do you see? 0. But Colossus is 2 with another 2 popping out.
I mean, in fact, he hasn't been using his starport tech at all because, I mean, quite frankly, considering the ratio of units, he doesn't need that many medevacs, but especially if he sees his opponent's not really leaning over towards Storm. But the drop is now making their way over to the important tech buildings. Incontrol has a Colossus that's about to pop out as well, and Drewbie is going to bypass it, at least for now. He does see one of the Robos, but for the most part now Incontrol sees a dropship and he's running back. He does not want to get caught by this army that's also in the north.
Oh, feedback almost kills one of those medevacs. A couple of Warpins are going to come in here, but not really do as much damage. It looks like the main army as well with a ton of Ghosts. Wow, there's so many Ghosts in that army. They're going to swoop up in front now. Actually, Drewbie is trading very nicely. This trade actually enables him to remake Vikings. This is going to be so helpful. Incontrol is taking heavy losses. He might even lose his 4th base because of this. You know, Drewbie actually doing this very, very nicely, but Incontrol now pushing forward, trying to exert his force. And we'll see. If he kills all these Ghosts, then maybe, yeah, he's in a great position. Actually, wow. Drewbie.
Andre, Blink's about to finish, and Blink does finish. Oh, but the medevacs get away just in time.
Oh,
and yeah, you know, I was going to say that I think it was a good trade up until the fact that Drewbie had around 8 to 10 Ghosts just take Colossi lasers to the face. And at that point, it was no bueno for Drewbie. In fact, these Ghosts are in the medevacs, the remainder ones that are alive, and even then, they're going to get picked off immediately. Can't even use the EMPs, and Incontrol does have enough Stalkers to protect his Colossus, and all of a sudden, this situation is stabling way out of control for a Terran player. There's just way too much Colossus. Look at the AoE absolutely melt the rest of the Terran army, and oh my goodness, Drewbie has nothing remaining really to deal with. He's got 4 Vikings, but there's pretty much, I mean, he's going to take heavy losses regardless.
Yes, he is. And, you know, these Vikings are picking off a couple of the Colossus, but it's just not enough. 3 Colossus still stand. That's very substantial. really Incontrol should just remax right now in Stalkers. He's getting a couple of Zealots here, but you really, at this position, when you know you've exchanged all the Vikings and you still have leftover Colossus, get additional Stalkers. Stalkers and High Templars, that's all you want to focus on, and really commit to defending against those Colossus, because what's going to happen, all the gas goes into defending against those Colossus. With those Vikings, Terrans tend to skimp on the Ghosts because they just don't have the capabilities of getting both of them at the same time, and you profit.
+3/+3 has finished for Incontrol, so he's going to have an incredible amount of DPS, especially considering the Colossus gets 2 damage per swipe per upgrade. So that just means the Colossus hits that much harder for across every single unit. And as a result, you can see Drewbie still at 2-2. He is starting +3, but ooh, look at this from Incontrol. He's starting Gravitic Drive, so he's going to get a Warp Prism out. At least I hope he's going to get a Warp Prism out. Or maybe 2 Warp Prisms out.
Oh,
that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. Obviously, Warp Prisms, one of my favorite units, really. I think it's one of the most powerful units in the game just because of the ability to be super mobile and not really push out a lot of supply. Obviously, you just need excess supply, but
Okay. Incontrol just getting every single upgrade the robotics, but he's getting the gravitic boosters for the observers as well,
why not,
increasing their speed. And I guess at this point, Incontrol's also getting pretty much every single tech. Oh my goodness, he's getting Dark Templar Shrine and double Robo in addition, so he's now at quad Robo. This is like he really is representing Intel Extreme, or Intel basically, because man, they start off at 1 core now.
Well, he just needs observers out in the field. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
pretty much
clever.
getting everything else, yeah.
That's clever, Dan.
It is. It was clever. I kind of bobbled that joke, but it was...
No.
It was delivered
That
right.
was...
It was okay.
That was solid.
It was a bitter delivery.
I'll give it... yes. I'll say it's a bitter delivery.
But 2 War Prisms on the way. Now, late game Dark Templars actually throw quite a wrench into things, Andre. Especially because Terrans actually skimp out a lot on detection.
They're actually one of the most annoying things to deal with. Dark Templars being... flown into your base. You have to have these little task forces. And also, it's the fact that Protoss are the ones that are able to see, well, do I want only 4 Dark Templars here, or do I want 10 Dark Templars? How much does it really change things? And look, Dark Templars are going to be committed over here. Just annoying. It keeps the Terran busy. And from here, I mean, really, Protoss can do anything they want. Now, one thing, if I want to say something, every single Protoss should be getting motherships at this end game stage. There's no excuse. You should always get it, because what it actually allows you to do is be aggressive. All of a sudden, you have like maybe 40 Zealots, 4 Colossus. You just go in. As soon as all the Zealots die, you go ahead and recall. All of a sudden, you have a very efficient army. Yeah. Your opponent probably wasted all the Ghost energy. You just warp in again, get ready for that huge attack, knowing that your opponent doesn't have EMPs, and then you win.
If only it were that simple as well, Andre, just because Incontrol's kind of been trying to do this harass while expand. You can see that he's taken over his side of the map very nicely. Same thing with Drewbie. So we have kind of this split map situation where it's going to get increasingly more difficult, because Protoss is pretty mobile with speed prisms and pylons warp-ins available to them. But then at the same time, Terran has these sensor towers that can pretty much detect movement across virtually the entire map, part of the map that's relevant to Drewbie. And now upgrades are pretty much evening out as well. We can see 3-3 is going to finish up for Drewbie, but I mean, Incontrol is going to have shield upgrades as well, which some people kind of argue is useless in the face of EMP, but every little bit helps, Andre.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look at the army tab, by the way. That is crazy. Drewbie has such a bigger army.
He does have a bigger army by mineral counts, but in terms of gas count, that's where I feel like I'm so afraid of Protoss all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because of how much damage potential with gas-intensive units like Archons and Colossi and Storm.
I think there is a little bit of a problem with the harvester count of Incontrol. It's a little bit too high. Oh, nice! Very nicely done. Actually feedbacks a ton of those units.
Ooh, he's also using some Dark Templars, snipes the turrets. Now this is what's so annoying. Drewbie has to scan and really deal with that with the Dark Templars, but it seems that at this point, both players are just splitting the map and really trying to power up to as strong as they can be. But honestly, until either side starts trading workers, they're not going to get that much stronger.
Yeah, and that actually this is Class A #1, the reason why Entomb Valley is such a long macro map, because attacking into your opponent is actually very difficult. Like, there's no good way to actually do this efficiently. Yes, there are a couple of ways of it's like Oh, hold on real quick. The High Templar's going to a good position. But yeah, there are a couple ways to do it a little bit sneaky, you know, take units out of position, whatever. But when it comes down to it, it's a macro map. It's actually a faster game when you play this cross positions.
Ooh.
Which is weird.
Oh, right, because you're expanding towards your opponent.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah, it's in this case, both of them are expanding farther and farther away, and these Dark Templars have been kind of buying the time that Incontrol, I guess, does he really want? He's warping in some more High Templars, but immediately dropping as well. Incontrol also has a Stargate finish, but no Fleet Beacon, I believe, so he doesn't have a Mothership available to him. But now Drewbie's starting to transition to the part of the game where he's getting building armor and high-sec auto-tracking, which means that this game has gone entirely way too long.
Well, you know what? Drewbie's doing this right, though. If you look back, I mean, look at how many command centers are being built, or orbital command centers are being built.
Yeah.
Now, Incontrol is doing it right as well. He's doing a style where he's banking like crazy, and basically you're up when you're against Terran. Excuse me. When you're against Protoss, you're up against a 400-400 army, because instantly Incontrol will remax as soon as the battle ends, and you have another wave in your face, and he's going to take advantage of that, 30-second timing where all of the reinforcements of Terran are still in the barracks. They're still being made. So he is trying to exercise his warp gate advantage. We'll see. It depends on how efficient this first fight starts. If Drewbie is able to trade out 40 of his SCVs, then I think Incontrol is dead. Absolutely dead.
But his army's too big at that point.
But we'll see. I mean, I want to see how many orbital command centers are actually out in the field. So let me count it real quick.
There's a lot of orbital commands, but look at how many Stargates are actually making in the back of Incontrol's main. He's got 5 on the way.
Whoa.
Now, this is something you don't see all the time. I remember back in the day, Incontrol was a very big proponent of going Colossi Phoenix, or Phoenix Colossi, and having the Phoenix really buffer for the Vikings, because even though Vikings do a lot of DPS to armor units, they actually are not that good against non-armored units in terms of their damage output. So the Phoenixes can do a good job buffering. They actually kill them relatively quick if you get upgrades as well. But I don't know if that's exactly what Incontrol is planning. I guess at this point he's just boosting all kinds of infrastructure for that imminent remax immediately. But this is now getting to the point where I guess Incontrol is making the first move. But at this point, it's just the power of the Protoss remax and the lack of mobility really from Terran is really going to hurt Drewbie. Yeah, and you know what? This attack will be so successful if there was a mothership out in the field. Obviously, you would be able to recall all of this army and do massive damage against your opponent. Now, I've actually been talking with a couple of people about how you actually play late game in Tomb Valley in these positions. I think the correct way to actually do this is to relocate all your production facilities to the top left-hand corner. Keep this main base. Terran? Yeah, keeping this main base as Terran just doesn't make sense in my mind. Like, there's just so many problems with it. It's hard, it's rigid to actually hold. It's useless area, really. So if you just relocate everything, you can concentrate everything on the top left-hand area, and you won't be so far out of position for this combination attack. The Zealots going to the left-hand side. Drewbie has, like, 6 barracks left. Actually, no. He's got, like, 6 barracks left. He's got, like, he only has 1 starport as well, so he doesn't have that much production. And I guess the way Incontrol want to do is to do really strong trades after hitting the production lines, which is actually quite clever now the more I think about it. But at the same time, it's just being so annoying. And look at these Dark Templars harassing one base. You can see another affecting the army, hunting down ghosts. Sniping each ghost is very valuable because they represent not just gas resources, but time. And now Incontrol is also starting to work on some of the defense line of Drewbie. This is actually kind of cool from Incontrol. Yeah, Incontrol is ripping Drewbie apart everywhere, just out multitasking his opponent. Yeah. And it's paying off with huge dividends. As you can see, now the orbital command center is being worked on. The planetary fortress Drewbie just realized that the planetary fortress went down, unfortunate for him. And at this position, I mean, Drewbie is actually super far behind. Look at how much position Drewbie has to defend. This doesn't make sense to actually defend all of this. Yeah. Stop defending it. Just lift everything up, relocate to the top left-hand corner, congregate all your units, because you do not have map control to do anything at all. And look at this. Incontrol's managed to sneak a huge army. This is like the most expensive run by ever. Oh, a huge storm on a lot of the Vikings as well to really whittle down the army. Now, this is good because in Incontrol's eyes, if I'm killing his production and trading units, he can't remake this at the pace I can. 3 ghosts die under a storm. And just like that, Incontrol's picking off more units. And this is what Incontrol's master plan has been the entire time. And Drewbie, he's now relegated to just a few barracks in his main. He's remade a lot right by his 4th base, but I mean, at the same time, Incontrol is not done. He has a bunch of DTs still roaming the left side of the map.
Yes, and being so annoying. Obviously, these were able to kill just so many units that were rallied over here. He did scan it before, but he just did not clear it up in time, and it's because Drewbie's attention has been all over the place. Now, let's go ahead and look at the units tab, income tab, 42 to 77. Incontrol still has a staggering amount of workers, but you can see the army supply. It's so even. It's actually even.
It's so even that it's actually even. But at this point, you can see that Drewbie, I guess this isn't the worst situation for him, because at least he still has a pretty good bank, and if he remade his entire army, he would have a straight-up stronger army. But Incontrol, again, with these Colossi gateway run-bys, I guess you could call them, is just still forcing Drewbie in very awkward positions. He never can get the EMPs off. In fact, half his army's not even fighting with this entire engagement. The Vikings are also kind of disorganized, as the Stalkers are able to pick them off. And I mean, Incontrol's remaking Colossi 4 at a time. Doesn't even really matter. The War Prism does get picked off, so Incontrol can't reinforce, but he has just way too many units, and now working on the remaining production, while Incontrol is moving aggressively with his expansion towards the center. And Drewbie just has these ghosts working on the Colossus, but at the same time, he's just losing so much stuff.
Yes, and there's no production for Drewbie. There's such a huge bank still for both these players, but of course, Incontrol is the one that can actually spend it with just a ton of gateways on the field, playing it off right. Incontrol just out-positioning his opponent. That's what it comes down to, and this is what people talk about when they think of Incontrol when he's actually on game. They say he's able to play cerebral. He wasn't out-microing his opponent. He wasn't, you know, just out-microing his opponent.
I mean, at this point,
he's just playing smarter.
He's playing smarter. He's forcing. This is a positional game, really, from Incontrol, and it just says, well, you can't really protect all these areas because you're not being really diligent in that regard. And Incontrol is buying time. He's been able to really, you know, pull Drewbie's attention back and forth. And as a result, Drewbie, even though he's had a great bank, everything he's been remaking has been dying immediately. And I have to commend Incontrol's use of Dark Templars this game, especially late game Dark Templars.
Dark Templars were really the story of everything, killing so many units here. I would love to see the kill count for just the Dark Templars alone. That would be awesome, because you will see that those Dark Templars really won Incontrol the game, I think. Well, of course, there was a lot more than that. I shouldn't actually say that, but still Incontrol just getting his, you know, playing like Spoon Terran, really. Trying to get...
Doing it very systematically and slow.
Very, very small advantages, and that's exactly right. Strangle your opponent to a position where they're in an unwinnable game.
And pretty much just slowly hugging Drewbie to death at this point. Just no matter what Drewbie does, Incontrol just won't let him go. It's just one of those situations where Drewbie's trying to crawl away and Incontrol keeps dragging him back in and just going to continue to do more damage here and there. DT's now working on what used to be the remnants of Drewbie's main base. Storm drops to eliminate the remainder of Drewbie's economy. And at this point, Drewbie's just, it's just so frustrating to beat him because in the end, he still has a pretty strong army in terms of supply count. In fact, he's got a higher army supply count. It's just that he doesn't have the footing where he feels confident enough to push out. In fact, the big story is that he's lost most of his ghosts. He was up at 15 ghosts, and now he's down to just 4 because the Dark Templar's been working on them. Yeah.
But the one thing I have going for Drewbie is that he's lost his main. Yes, that sounds weird. But losing the main in this position is actually going to give him a way to, well, never mind, he's going to go back and defend it. You shouldn't be defending here, Drewbie. Just give it up.
It's just for nostalgia value at this point.
Yeah.
Like, this once used to be my homeland.
But, right, like, what is the point of actually trying to claim this position? It's, think about it in the beginning stages, okay? Let's say we had a completely new game, and I put my barracks, we were cross position. I was top left, you were bottom right. What if I put all my barracks in the top right-hand corner? How silly would you actually say that was? It's like, well, it's so far away from everything. All of a sudden, Protoss can actually attack that. All these units have to actually walk across map just so that they can group up with the rest of their units. It's like the silliest thing ever. But we see that at this end-game stage because people, as you said, are just nostalgic about their main base. And
I don't know, Andre, man. Even if we lost Alaska or Hawaii, even though they're kind of far away from us.
No, bro. I would say
I would go back.
It's cool.
I'd still defend the Alaskans.
Okay, maybe I will.
Andre, I'm really glad they did not cast you for Saving Private Ryan.
Nope, Ryan's good, bro.
No, he's a big boy. He can take care of himself.
He's all right. He'll do fine.
Gosh.
No worries. He's not worth it.
It really that's the worst thing you could ever say about a fellow soldier. But good. I mean, Drewbie sticks together. Look at this. Drewbie actually has a pretty respectable supply because he's just got raw units. Look at that. 22 Marauders, 55 Marines, 8 Ghosts. And all of a sudden, if Incontrol engages poorly, well, weirder things have happened in a StarCraft game. You know,
Drewbie can still win this because Incontrol has been super inactive. Now, he's not going to win it like that. Nice storm goes off on all those units. There does need to be a higher Viking count because he cannot keep up with the mass amount of Colossus. There's just going to be so much damage being done, but here we go. And the units are just going to take too much. The Marines and Marauders getting fried to pieces. You can see they move in just trying to micro and remove as much as possible, but the Terran wins.
The Terran wins, but the big story is that Drewbie's traded almost all for... Well, I mean, he traded almost all of his army for all of Incontrol's army, and Incontrol can remake so easily. He has an incredible amount of gateways on his production. He's even got 6 targets if he really wanted to make like 6 Void Rays at this point. But look at that. He just has all Stalker Zealots just work on the remainder of production. Drewbie can't keep up. Incontrol's already remaxed. And he can easily pump out another max round as well. But you can see that Incontrol targeting down the production with his Zealots. I would like to see him use his Zealots to really focus on the remainder of the units, but at the same time, Incontrol is just in such firm control of this game that you really can't blame him. He just has anything he can do.
Beautifully done. Storms are going to go down on all these units, and that's going to be it. Incontrol will clean everything up on that 30-second window that he has when, you know, you trade completely even, but because that warp gate only takes 5 seconds and all of your units takes 30, I'm going to go ahead and punish you. And there you have it. Incontrol will go ahead and take this game. He's up 186 supply, 250. Never really been, you know, threatened.
But I want to say a couple things. First of all, that Incontrol played this game and a way Protoss that we don't normally see. It was as if he was playing kind of Zerg a little bit, you know, buying time, being everywhere on the map, being annoying, and then trading really efficiently and making to the point where Drewbie can't keep up after the initial battle. Yeah, Incontrol didn't even really care too much about the initial battle, just land some storms, do a lot of AoE, but focus on the mobility and positioning. And there it is, GG from Drewbie, and after 45 minutes of play, Incontrol is tied up the series 1-1. But I want to finish my thought real quick. I like how he was able to play kind of a different style, even though it's still like Protoss in the end. You still want to have a huge death ball. You still want to have that, but you use your mobility late game. A lot of Protosses feel like they lose mobility, but when you have the availability of pylons and speed war prisms,
that's exactly right. I mean, what's cool is he would keep around 10 to 20 supplies still freed up just to harass. And he's just defending with the rest of his units, whittling down his opponent. And then all of a sudden he sees, wait, there's a huge opening at the main. He goes and hits it. And yes, he loses all of his units, but in a blink of an eye, he's able to take out the top left-hand corner with Dark Templars, as we were talking about in-game, and then also remax his army with Colossus, with High Templars. It was just beautiful.
It was. It was beautiful.
Incontrol showing his game style, his way of winning, and it worked against Root.
I'm missing my GG button, Andre. That deserved a red GG.
Where
so
is
I'm gonna hit you on the chest, and you say GG.
GG!
With that, we'll be back after a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Game number 3, the deciding match between Incontrol and Drewbie. Who will move on to the round of 32? We'll find out in just a minute.
GG!